Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the commentary from Market Truth. This is Sunday, January 30th. This is our review from last week's action. This will be a review of the indices. It looks like we finally got a little bit of a sell-off coming off of tagging those quarterly high volatility levels. We're going to look at the S&P futures here in the upper right-hand corner. We've been talking about this for a really long time now. We traded up to this level back on the 18th of January, right around 1297. Pulled back a little bit. We just slowly grinded higher, and we tagged it on Thursday, pretty much right up at that 1300 level, the high 1299.50. And then we finally got a sell-off. Whether the sell-off was over the disruption in Egypt, whether it was because the market was overbought, whether it was because of earnings announcements, it really doesn't matter. These quarterly levels are pretty consistent. That level was not a level to get short the market, but that was a level to exit the market had you been riding this trend to the upside. You'll notice I want to point something out that I mentioned earlier in the week. The lower left-hand corner, this is the weekly levels. And I often talk about when the weekly levels fail, or even when we break through and confirm a buy signal, like we did in the S&P earlier this week around the 12, right around the 1290 level. We didn't have a lot of follow through on that. But when we trade back below these levels, the target on the downside is usually the volatility low levels, which in this case was right around 1273 level, and that's exactly where we spent majority of Friday afternoon at. We closed around 1270 or so. So those levels are really great targets. We'll pull up the NQ futures. You'll see something really similar. Once again, the upper right-hand panel, that's the quarterly. We failed almost to the tick. 2343 was a quarterly high level. The actual high was, I think the actual high was around right here, 2334 on Friday, but we traded earlier in the week up to 2346. So we pretty much failed there, and then we traded lower. Again, perfect failure there at the quarterly. Again, here's a weekly in the lower left-hand corner. Again, even though we confirmed a buy signal on Tuesday and then Wednesday on the open, right around 2300, we trade up to 2334. Once we traded back below that level, your target is usually that low level. In this case, it was almost to the tick, around 2258. So great target there. Let's look at the Russell futures. Again, we talked about how this Russell has been lagging behind the other indices. It's actually pulled all the way back to the previous month. We got one more day in the month, but we're going to have new monthly levels on Tuesday. So I don't really want to talk about the monthly levels from January. The upper right hand is a quarterly panel. You see we never even made it back up to that high at 809. But this will be an area to watch. That quarterly level is still valid. It's valid for the entire quarter through the end of March. That's 750 on the Russell futures. That will be a level to watch. I mean, if the Russell takes out 750, the Russell has a tendency to overshoot on the upside and the downside because it's a little more volatile, but that level is going to be important. If we take out and we confirm and we spend 3 trading days below that, my guess is we'll get a sharper correction than just 3 or 4%. So that'll be the level to watch in the TF futures. And again, here's the weeklies. We didn't get back down to the weekly low level in the Russell, and that's because we had such a strong day back here on Wednesday. That was such a strong rally day, so we didn't quite make it down there. But just want to highlight that level, and then we're going to look. And also notice on the intraday, the lower right-hand panel here, just to show you how well these signals worked. We got a sell signal intraday on the Russell at 788, traded down to 722. And the S&P futures, we got a sell signal right. All these sell signals generated really early in the day. 1293 on our way down to 1270. So that's how those levels work intraday. We didn't bounce at all on these levels. That's how we knew we were in trouble. We traded down there. We went right through them like butter. And so those are levels to watch, guys, for next week. And we'll update the weekly levels tomorrow night.